When she was growing up, I was like, I just want her to like good music. I don't want her to like shitty music, please. So when she was very young, I started pumping good music into her life. Started with Peter Gabriel. I was like, and she would fucking move, like she was into it. You know, some things she didn't like. She didn't like Metallica, certain things, but she loved Peter Gabriel, like just moving her little body, like a little tush. And I was like, all right. So then I started introducing the Pogues. And if you don't know who the Pogues are, they're a punk rock band from England, via Ireland, but really England. And they're like fronted by one of the greatest poets of our generation, Shane MacGowan. And one of my proudest moments as a young parent was we were in the bathroom. I was taking her to pee at a pizza place, and they were playing the Pogues, and she goes, Dada. And I go, yeah, Bubba. She goes, Shane MacGowan. And I was like, well, fuck it, I'm done. Can I give this kid away now? Like, she seems strong, she knows good music. I think she's ready to take on the world. And then I started Fleetwood Macking her a little bit, like, do you know what I'm saying? A little bit of rumors here and there, and she took to it. She's like, yeah, you know, dancing in front of the stereo to like Dreams. Thunder only happens when it rains. And you know, they're naked all the time when they're, so it's just like, and their bellies are adorable. They go like out over, and they're just like, so I was like, fuck it. I said to my wife, I'm like, look at how great I've done. She's like, you're an idiot. Just get ready. I said, get ready for what? This kid's fucking perfect. I love music more than anything in the world, and the only thing I don't like musically, I love every kind of music, except musicals. Hold on, don't judge me. This is a night to judge me. I hear you with your fucking scorn. Get ready, it gets better. The story gets better. Hold on to your anger. This is a win. So all of a sudden my kid is super into musicals, right? She's like fucking full on, like, and she says, I want to go see Hamilton. I'm like, what is that? Right? I have no idea what it is, right? Because I'm blind to that. I'm like, Hamilton, who, what? And then if you explain to somebody what a musical is about, that's the death knell. Right? Like if I came to you and I was like, I have a great idea for a musical, you want to sit through it for 2.5 hours? It's a bunch of fucking orphans, and then a really rich guy, and then he gets one of the orphans, then he gives her back. And you're just like, that sounds fucking horrible, right? And it's like, no, it's Annie, you know, and you're just like, okay, well, and you go and they sing and dance and you're like, oh my God, or Sound of Music, right? The Nazis are coming and you're just like, what the fuck? As a Jewish person, I'm like, fuck that, I don't want that to happen, right? So anyway, so my kids, I'm like, what's Hamilton about? And she's like, oh, it's about Alexander Hamilton, and they rap and they talk all about his life until he gets killed by Aaron Burr. And I'm like, yeah, that sounds fucking awful. I'm like, but I'll go because I love you and because everything you do I want to learn from. So we went, right? The musical starts. Dude, 2 minutes in, I'm like, 10 minutes in, I'm like, for real crying. And then it ends and I'm standing up. I'm like, the only one. I'm like, yes! And then my kid's like, you want to go again, huh? And I was like, very much. So we went again, same thing, tears. I'm like, this is the greatest thing. So then my kid doesn't speak to me really about much, right? Because she's older, she's like 12, and she doesn't even think I'm cool. I'll be like, hey, you know, I play music. She's like, meh. I'll be playing music in the house and she'll be like, can you please keep that down? And I'm like, dude, this pays for the house. She's like, can you do it at least in another room? So she really doesn't care, but she has this thing that she likes to do, which is she likes to go, she calls them night drives. And so right before she's going to bed, I think it's a hustle that she pulls, but she'll be like this, she'll be like, Dada, I want to go on a night drive with you. And I'll be like, okay. So we get in the car and we drive around San Francisco for like 2 hours, and she just literally talks to me. It's like the greatest experience ever. So she'll spill all the shit that I ask her about that she doesn't talk. She goes in deep, and there's a channel on Sirius XM called Broadway. So she's like, Dada, let's listen to music. It started with like pop, and then she's quickly tired. She's like, I do not like the way Olivia Rodrigo enunciates. I'm like, what? Who did I fucking make? Do you know what I mean? Like 50% of me made this judgmental, amazing planet. She's like, and she finds the fucking Broadway channel. And pretty soon, we go on these night drives like regularly, and I'm like, is that Kristen Chenoweth? And she's like, yes, that is. And I could like name people. Never thought this would happen. Softened my Grinch heart. Like 3 sizes, it grew 3 sizes that day. And then, so here's the final one. Right before I leave for tour, right after COVID, during COVID, she's like, I really like this musical called Come From Away, right? And I'm like, what's it about? She's like, well, it's about where the planes landed on 9/11. I'm like, what? That sounds awful. She's like, trust me, it's great. So we go. We're sitting in like the second and third row at San Jose. They come out like this. We're from the Rock. And they're like stamping, and there's 8 of them. And I'm like, turn to my wife, I'm like, fucking kill me. Please just kill me and then just hide my body in a planter. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not gonna be able to survive 2 hours of this. 10 minutes in, I'm like, 20 minutes in, I'm like, and I turn to my wife and I'm like, this is the greatest thing I've ever seen in my life. So it ends and I'm like, Bubba, do you want to go again? She's like, yes. And then it was the end of it. But anyway, long story short, I have the one song on this record that could be considered a musical. I wanted to do the first couple bits of it interpreted as a musical to celebrate my daughter. And also to make fun of musicals. So let's just see. So I bought this keyboard to learn how to play piano, and there's this feature called Jazz Scat. Aaron, would you just show them how Jazz Scat works? I mean, dude, it's funnier than this. Hold on. So like, if I were to play Home Sweet Home by Motley Crue on this, it sounds like this. So my buddy and I are doing that for 3 hours in the living room the other night. Just playing songs, and he's going ba ba da ba ba ba, and we're throwing shapes and stuff, and my wife's in the kitchen, she's like, it's funny, but it's over. So I can't do it at home, so I have to do it for you. So let's try this. Can I have that up, turned up a little bit, that mic? This is what they do. Maybe it's because I'm crazy. Or maybe I just can't honestly tell you what I want. It's never enough. I stay still to hold you. Break loose and run. The taste of you wild on my tongue. Am I no good to you now? Like cats where they're like, am I no good to you now? Whoa, we're spilling over. So anyway, just a little light comedy. I feel like maybe we needed a little like a douche in the middle of the sadness. People do that anymore?
No. Sadness.
That was a big thing when my mom was. What the fuck? Don't yell at me. I didn't invent it. We also used to think cereal was important on the pyramid of like nutrition. What are we doing here? Anyway, let's try this. This is a song called Falling Apart. This is the real version. And this is what happens when a narcissist tries to coordinate a bunch of things that he thinks are actual love. I really want you to know, you come down the chute of where you're born and you're dumped in the thing, and if you don't have the tools, you don't have the fucking tools. And then you end up causing problems even though you didn't mean to, and you hurt a lot of people and you don't mean to, and it takes a really long time to figure it out. And this is the moment when I realized I did not have it figured out. Maybe it's because I'm crazy. Maybe it's because I just can't honestly tell you what I want. It's never enough to stay still and hold you, to break loose and run, the taste of you wild on my tongue. Am I no good to you now? Am I no good to you? Am I no good to you now?
Am I no good to you?
Whoa, whoa, whoa. We're spilling over. Whoa, whoa, whoa. We're falling apart. Spend my days with doctors, spend my nights with crooks, and all of them would sell me for a song. Well, I'm here, I'm safe, dear. I'm fiction in your arms. Am I no good to you now?
Am I no good to you?
Am I no good to you now?
How much I can lose?
I'm falling apart. Whoa, whoa. We're spilling over. Whoa, whoa, whoa. We're falling apart. Don't dim me out. Don't start me over. I wanna be the one who holds you. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Yeah, all I say, it doesn't matter anyway. Yeah, all I say, it doesn't matter anyway. Give it up, so call my bluff, 'cause I just need someone to remind me who I